Creepypasta. Whether you love them or hate them, you've heard of them. Probably. Anyway, Poképasta are Pokemon creepypastas, and the most popular of these stories is Pokemon Creepy Black. Okay, maybe it's Lavender Town Syndrome, but just bear with me here. Pokemon Creepy Black is an iconic gaming creepypasta in which the protagonist plays an odd cartridge that allows them to use a virtually invincible Pokemon called Ghost that has a move called Curse, which makes both Pokemon and trainers disappear. Now hold on before you make any assumptions, let me get to the rules. These being to nickname all Pokemon, only catch the first Pokemon you encounter in a route, and if a Pokemon faints, it's unusable. I'll also be going by dupes clause, which basically means if I encounter a Pokemon I already have, I'm allowed to keep searching until I find one that I don't have. And of course, no items in battle. On top of all these rules, I also have an additional rule, which is that Ghost will be used as little as possible. You may ask why I don't just put it in the PC, and the reason for that is because for one, that would be just a normal Gen 1 Nuzlocke, and for two, you can't actually get rid of it, which is true to the source material. With all that being said, comment below how far you think I'll get before my first Pokemon faints, and let's get into it. So the game starts off relatively normally. I get to the lab, pick my Bulbasaur, which I named Sub, which you should do if you enjoyed the video by the way, and look at that, there's a ghost in my party. Now like I said before, this ghost is both invincible and omnipotent, so it's way too OP to use the majority of the time. To prove that, I'll demonstrate it in the first battle. As you can see, I get text that says the rival Pokemon can't even move, which of course stops them from attacking me, and my move Curse when it KOs anything and everything. Of course, it wouldn't be Creepy Black without the ghost, so it'll get some use here and there. After the first rival battle, I do all the regular stuff, encounter a Pidgey before realizing Oak didn't give me any Pokeballs, buy some, encounter a Rattata, and nickname it Ratman after both Doug Ratman from Portal and the Ratman from GTA. After grinding to level 10, I ventured over to battle my rival and realized I needed an encounter, which ended up being a Nidoran male that I nicknamed a Smiley Face. The rival battle was quick and painless, nothing of note there. After going into the forest, I caught a Weedle who was nicknamed Crawly, and after some subsequent grinding, got it to a Kakuna and then a Beedrill. Brock was another sweep, unsurprisingly, thanks to Bulbasaur. On Route 3, I caught a Pidgey, which I nicknamed Lucky since I caught it while only having one Pokeball to use, and then caught a Zubat in Mount Moon, of course nicknamed Dracula. After evolving both Bulbasaur and Nidoran male, I fought the Fossil guy, got a Fossil, went to Route 4, level grinded, and realized I accidentally wasted my first encounter. However, I did evolve Pidgey, which was cool. Misty was a relative sweep, although I will admit her using an X-Defend on Starmie threw me off a bit. The rival battle almost saw the death of Rattata, but thankfully it held on and we made it through the battle deathless. After evolving Rattata, battling the Nugget Bridge Leader, failing to catch an Abra, getting the SS Antiga, and catching a Mankey, which I nicknamed Kong after King Kong of course, all was going well. But on Route 6, tragedy struck. Lucky was not so lucky. The pair fusion that it got was too much, and admittedly I made some really garbage plays and I could have just switched it out. My bad, and rip to Lucky. After arriving in Viridian, I catch a Magikarp that I nicknamed a Winking Face and replaced Lucky with Kong. I also caught a Spearow on Route 11 and nicknamed it Birdemic. If you know, you know. Anyway, I grinded a bit by beating all the route trainers and the trainers on the SSN before facing my rival. Ratman the Raticate was easily the MVP, sweeping 3 of Gary's 4 Pokemon before I just decided to let Kong have a little shine. After getting cut and dealing with the horrible trash can puzzle, it's time to fight Lieutenant Surge, who wasn't too bad. Honestly, Sub took the most damage here and everyone held their own pretty easily. What I really want to know is why they allowed him to so casually reference a Pokemon war like that. I mean, it's even weirder that only him and one trainer in the gym even reference it, and as far as I know, nobody else has ever mentioned it. Was it just a Kanto-based war? Who knows? Anyway, back to the game. On the way to get Flash, I caught a Diglett, which I nicknamed Moleman as a reference to Hans Moleman from The Simpsons. On Route 9, I tragically lost Kong against an exploding Geodude and caught an Ekans that was simply nicknamed another emoticon face. In Rock Tunnel, I caught a Machop that I nicknamed Rock Lee and then proceeded to fight every trainer and somehow not lose a single Pokemon while also evolving Sub into a Venusaur. I ventured my way to Celadon after that pretty easily, luckily no deaths there either, and then proceeded to fight Erica. And forget to record it. Thankfully, it was a very quick sweep and I did get the end dialogue where after I subsequently proved nobody even got slightly damaged except for my Beedrill who swept their team. Definitely learned to remember to unpause OBS after that one. Team Rocket Game Corner stuff happens and I get to Giovanni, who wasn't too bad, although admittedly his Kangaskhan did give me a tiny bit of trouble. Then again, Kangaskhan is a beast, so that's a given. After picking up the Self Scope, I head over to the infamous and very spooky Pokemon Tower, which in my opinion has a bit spookier of a theme than Lavender Town itself. Of course, before saving Mr. Pokemon, we have to fight our rival. Pidgeotto and Execute were easily taken out, however Gyarados nearly knocked out my Nidorino with a surprising Hydro Pump. After that, Charmeleon and Kadabra weren't a problem. Speaking of the rival fight, do you guys believe in the Gary's Raticate theory? Basically, this theory states that after your rival fight on the SSN, Gary couldn't get his Raticate to the Pokemon Center fast enough and it ended up dying, which is exactly why he's randomly standing in the Pokemon Tower looking at a grave and asks if any of your Pokemon died, implying one of his may have, and he also doesn't have a Raticate in his party. Let me know in the comments if you ever thought that this could be true. Anyway, back to the game. I accidentally knock out my encounter, which was a Ghastly, and save Cubone's mother's soul before taking out the Team Rocket members and saving Mr. Fuji. Always found it odd that they genuinely referenced Pokemon dying and even made you more or less help a ghost pass on to the afterlife, and when you look at a Cubone with its helmet off and compare it to a baby Kangaskhan, it makes you think. Anyway, sorry, let's move on. Alright, we get the Poke Flute, somehow catch Snorlax, which I nicknamed Unreal because I couldn't believe I got it, and then Dracula evolves into a Golbat, which I also forgot to record. Smiley Face the Nidorino also faints in a battle, which was more or less a product of carelessness, regardless RIP. In the Safari Zone, I encounter a wild Kangaskhan, which I of course don't even get close to catching. I then get the Gold Teeth and HMO3 Serve before giving the Warden his Gold Teeth and getting HMO4 Strength in return. While grinding for Koga, Birdemic evolves into a Fearow. Honestly, Koga was a battle that I was scared of. I wasn't sure if his poison Pokemon would cause me any serious problems, but I braced for possibly one or more deaths during this fight. After Ratman takes out Coughing, he gets his health halved by wheezing and poison, so I decide to send out Birdemic, and just like the movie, this bird wreaked utter destruction upon its enemies. With Muck and the next Coughing gone, only Wheezing stands in our way, and although Birdemic can't handle it on its own, Dracula comes in clutch with an insane 3 HP survival of Explosion. Somehow this ended in 0 deaths. Of course, now it was time for Silphco and subsequently Sabrina. Birdemic takes out his first 2 Pokemon relatively easily before Sub has to handle Gyarados, which it does well. Ratman takes out Alakazam and Charizard with little to no trouble. We pick up the Lapras, which I of course nicknamed Nessie after the Loch Ness Monster. Giovanni's Nidorino and Kangaskhan get demolished by Ratman, who has really been an MVP so far. Rhydon is easily taken out by Sub before Birdemic takes out Nidoqueen, luckily getting poisoned with a lot of health. After getting the Master Ball, I make it to the Pokemon Center on time before I go fight the dojo leader. Birdemic sweeps him and I pick up a Hitmonlee that I nicknamed Might Guy due to the fact that I already used the nickname Rock Lee on a Machop. Anyway, Ratman sweeps Sabrina's entire team. No, really, I couldn't believe how dominant Raticate was in this fight. Being 2 levels under the leader's strongest Pokemon, he still bulldozed through the team with relative ease. Between Sabrina and Blaine, I level grinded Nessie since I would need her to surf, and of course that means I simply swept Blaine with her. Although admittedly, Rapidash did scare me a good bit. I'm glad they actually allow you to attack when you're under Fire Spin now. Giovanni also got absolutely demolished by an untouched and decently underleveled Nessie. I decided to go into the next rival fight underleveled to add some entertainment value since I'm betting the sweeps are getting pretty boring. After easily taking out Pidgeot, Rhyhorn, and Execute, I was then faced with a possible problem, his level 47 Gyarados. I decided to use Sub to go for the old Leech Seed Poison Powder technique and it works, albeit I almost lost my starter. Ratman nearly gets KO'd by Alakazam, and Crawley does get KO'd by Alakazam, mainly due to the fact that I felt it would be easier to sack him, but RIP regardless. Birdemic finishes Alakazam and Nessie nearly gets KO'd, finishing his Charizard. I managed to successfully both capture my encounter in Victory Road and avoid every trainer, heading straight into the Elite Four. Now way near the start of this video I told you that it would just be a normal Pokemon Red and Blue run without using the Ghost, right? Well, for all Elite Four members I decided to show just how indestructible the Ghost is. Instead of explaining, I'll play every single battle in a row and you can witness the majesty of the Ghost itself. While that's going on, what do you think of this concept? I thought it'd be cool to tackle some Halloween themed Pokemon games during the season while adding a modern YouTube twist. I honestly originally was going to make this into a more joke-like video where I swept the entire game just like the Elite Four, but I decided to make it a bit more of a challenge and save the Ghost for a couple of fights. I do have more games planned as well that I'll likely be Nuzlocking, so definitely look out for those and suggest ideas below. That being said, it's time for the champion. I entered this battle with a heavily underleveled team and a Ghost that I was finished with using. To be completely honest, I was sure that some Pokemon would be easy while others may wipe all of my Pokemon out. Pidgeot, Alakazam, and Rhydon go down with relatively low difficulty. Executor is almost taken out by Birdemic but ends up overcoming the poor bird. Ratman takes it out but is soon defeated by Gyarados along with Sub. However, Sub's setup allowed Unreal to knock it out, leaving only his level 65 Charizard. After knocking out Unreal, I only had Nessie left, and Nessie clutched the win 21 levels under his final Pokemon. However, winning the championship isn't the end of this adventure. After the game finishes, we time skip to many years later. If you've read the story, you'll know that as an old man, you now have to walk all the way from Lavender Town back to Pallet Town and to your childhood home. It's interesting how every single place is completely empty and how every Pokemon you've had is erased from existence. After realizing I could use Diglett Cave, I finally made it back to Pallet Town. When walking into my NES, I'm forced to face all of the Pokemon that I cursed with Ghost, these being every Elite Four member's Pokemon specifically. Had I only used ghosts, the sequence would have been longer. You can also take out trainers as well, so expect some of those sprites if you decide to take that route. Anyway, after all that, I'm forced to fight the ghost, and all I can do is struggle. After a ton of struggling, I finally get cursed by the ghost itself and the screen goes black. And that's the end of the journey. All in all, I hope this kicks the spooky month off well for all the Pokemon fans out there, and I hope if you enjoyed that you'll stick around for more challenges that I have in the future. With all that being said, thank you for watching and steer clear of ghosts.